Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay.
All right, great. Who is your favorite fictitious basketball player of all time? I feel like that needs some research. Do you have a favorite basketball player from film or TV?
Jesus Shuttlesworth.
Yeah, it's a good one. I mean, it's
Steve Urkel.
It's a great question. Yeah, perfect. Let's see if we got another. All right, here we go. All right, and welcome to Fast Break Breakfast NBA podcast. My name is Keith Parrish, here once again with my buddy through the miracle of computer phone. I'm here with Chuck Anderson.
Hey now.
And just Chuck Anderson. Yay!
Just me.
Chuck,
yay.
what's up, man?
What's up, Keith? How are you, buddy?
Good. You're a traveling man, right? You're out and about?
Yeah. Out in Austin, Texas.
Are you keeping Austin weird?
No.
Oh.
I did see a weird thing. There's like a billboard here in Austin that just says the word Ohio and then reminds you that you should move there. It's like 300 days a year of sunshine shouldn't matter if you're inside at work most of the time. And it's just and the website is ohioforleaders.com or maybe .org. I don't know. We're passing it pretty fast by the highway.
Is the state of Ohio advertising?
I'm so confused by this.
Is Ohio recruiting?
I'm thinking they're trying to pull people.
Ohio's governor just signed a law that says teachers can carry guns and only need 24 hours of training. So maybe they're trying to recruit some Texas Ranger style lawmen to come teach in the school systems? Or is it Texans who want people to leave?
This is a good question. Ooh, get your ass to Ohio. Maybe it's some sort of like large scale. Well, they've already gerrymandered every situation. So why would they need conservatives to move to Ohio? It's a swing state.
I don't know. It's a swing state, man.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
We get a lot of stuff in Nashville, where everyone's like, you see that, hey man, the city's full. Hey, you California people, go back. And everyone's saying that's like, well, when'd you move here? Like 7 years ago. Like, all right. Listen, it's a city. Anyone can come. That's the way it works. There are no birthrights for being from a place unless, like a country, yes. But of course, that leads to nationalism. And that's bad too.
And I'm not interested in the people who are super proud to be from somewhere and have never left in their entire life. Like, you should have traveled. You should have lived in another city. I'm a unicorn. I was born and raised, and that's okay. But why didn't you leave?
It's really funny when I've been to a fair number of countries, and I definitely remember traveling in my early 20s, being in countries, and like, you're not comfortable a lot of the time because they're just your normal. Like, from where I'm standing right now, I can't see a KFC or a Taco Bell. And that lets me know I'm at home and like they're just there. If I need them, they're there. And then you're at like you're in some town in Europe where it's like, what is that? Is that an independently owned restaurant? And is that a independently owned coffee shop? And it's like, I don't even know where to get French fries where I'm standing. And someone was like, well, America's the greatest country on the planet. And then as an adult, you're just like driving through places and you're like in Tennessee, if you're driving east on I-40 and you go through like Cookville and you're like, by God, they have every restaurant known to man. You can see them all from the interstate. There's like 100 restaurants in a row. And it's like just your O'Charlie's, your Chick-fil-A, your Western Sizzlin',
and they all
steak
have
and
like
shake. It's just everyone. And it's
they
like,
have
God, that's amazing. And then you're like, wait a minute, is that actually terrible?
they'll have 400-foot signs that you can see from 2 miles away.
You can price shop the gasoline wherever you're standing because you can see the 400-foot sign. You just turn around, you're like, hey, it's 8 cents cheaper over there. Let's go to the Pilot. Anyways, we're on a bit of a tangent. You are in Austin. What took you to Austin? Are you just vacationing?
Yeah, it was my girlfriend's birthday last week, so we decided to do a trip and hang out with her friends. I went to Vegas to hang out with my friends, and now we're taking turns. Now that everything's open.
Yeah.
So
that sounds fun. Are you having to right now? Your voice sounds muffled. I want to know, are people sleeping?
Yeah, people are sleeping.
So you've got to get that hype whisper.
I'm like
okay.
super I'm super into everything right now. This is going to become an ASMR.
I like that a lot. Podcast. I actually really like it when you put the beard whiskers on the microphone.
And it's just super light.
That's everyone for the YouTube audience who likes to see and hear that kind of thing. Well, now that you're in Austin, have you had a breakfast? We start the show with breakfast. Yeah, what'd you have?
Well, I'm in an Airbnb, and my favorite thing about Airbnbs are the personal touches. I will talk about breakfast. But first, coffee.
That's a nice little kitschy.
Little kitschy sign that says,
"But sign that says, but first coffee."
When the coffee cup has a heart in it.
Yeah. So you're in a very adorable Airbnb.
It's adorable.
Decorated by Etsy.
There's so many. Yeah, there is. Like they give you all these cups like this one. It's expensive being me. And if you could, this is probably not good for podcast.
It's expensive being everywhere, Chuck. I don't know if you know that. Yeah, really Chuck is doing his show and tell on video on an audio podcast right now.
So check us out on YouTube, hit subscribe, and comment, But
Chuck is also wearing an International Stackhouse of Pancakes t-shirt designed by listener Andy Ross.
Shout out Andy.
Shout out Andy. That shirt.
But yeah, this morning I woke up and had some cold brew and a little parfait. I brought my girlfriend's granola. Matter of fact, let's do some more show and tell. I got a bag of granola. Check that out. We haven't ever showed the granola on the show that I eat religiously, but here it is.
I think that's a good choice we've made. I think actually we should stick with that.
Probably just talk about it instead of showing it. Yeah, just granola.
You guys know what granola looks like? Chuck just held up a Ziploc bag of it.
And I'm selling it. You can get it for cheap if you want it. Yeah, but just granola. I try to do breakfast the same when I'm on the road because it keeps me regular. So a little granola, a little yogurt. YOLO. Get it. But yesterday I ate at a place called Povlo's. It's like this Mexican restaurant, and they have breakfast. The breakfast were fire. I ordered, the first thing on the menu was this thing called the trash can plate. It had every kind of meat that they have. Yeah, it's like a scramble.
Trash can plate.
Yeah.
What's that in Spanish?
Basura. I don't know, something.
Yeah.
Plato de basura.
Those sound like hotcakes.
Yeah. But they had everything in it, but I was a little pissed because they put mushrooms and zucchini and spinach in it too. They have chorizo and ham and sausage, all sorts of stuff in it.
Yeah.
And then barbecue brisket was in it, but they also threw healthy stuff. I'm like, what are y'all doing?
It was everything.
It is the trash can, so it would be everything.
I mean, is it their leftover food waste?
I'm thinking this is, and I ate there on Monday. This is probably the weekend.
Yeah, they just when they're cutting up the other dishes, they're throw it in the trash can plate, and we'll serve it.
But that was fire. Also,
gringo.
Yeah, give it to a white man. But it was great because I was as I was eating breakfast, I was watching this woman just masterfully make hand rolled tortillas I couldn't even pay attention to the people who I was talking to. I was just staring at this lady's hands. She was like a magician. She would take a piece of whatever dough.
You have a kink. So I mean, Yeah, it's not.
Yeah. Thanks, Keith, for being open-minded
I'm just saying.
and accepting.
A woman rolling tortillas is like, you've mentioned it before. So I know that's a special thing for you. My breakfast, I visited Nashville staple, the Donut Den.
Ooh,
and got just the nice, because I feel like I've been doing too many of these bougie $4 donuts, and I got shamed a little bit.
Yeah,
I got shamed by someone who is in a financially better place than I am, and yet eats cheaper donuts, and I didn't know if those were related.
They're not.
He was like, where do you get donuts usually? And I told him. He's like, whoa, big spender. And so I was like, he's like, why don't you go to the donut den? It's just, like they're $1. They're the price a donut's supposed to be. And so he shamed me a little bit.
That's how much a donut should be.
Yeah. So I went there and it was great. Had the sour cream donut. Awesome.
Yeah, man.
A sour cream donut and coffee is perfection. It's yeah.
A donut shop knows how to do it because they've been doing it forever. And coffee was good 60 years ago. Like we tried to perfect it. It was unnecessary.
Also,
unnecessary.
I like a donut place where the name of the store is Donut.
Boom.
Donut Den, done.
Right.
What do we sell? We sell donuts.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't need to. Maximum place name and donut. Maybe the longest your title should ever be. One word plus donut. Maybe just donut. Like my favorite place based on location and proximity, and those are the same thing. And cheapness is my favorite pizza store, Pizza. It's called Pizza.
Just called Pizza.
Yeah. Well done. Anyway, those were our breakfasts. After our breakfasts, we move to our breakfast in bed apologies. This is our chance to make right what we might have gotten wrong on a previous episode. Good news. I actually have an apology from John.
Nice.
I'll get to that in a second. But Chuck, what's your apology? What do you need to make right?
I'm a big fan of the Heat. I'm a culture.
No, you
culture cultist. I'm a part of the culture cult. Part of the Heat culture is just being rugged, right? And being like physically tough. And that comes from the top down. And last week I failed to mention, I read something on the sporting news. Pat Riley had his postseason presser. And he said, quote, "I'm 77 years old, and right now I could do more push-ups than you can do. You want to go to the mat? Let's go." Let's go, says a almost octogenarian. Also read that he still weighs himself with the team. Like when Jimmy came from Miami's known for their, low body fat percentage. You got to have it under a certain amount.
Right.
Waivers are allowed for like Kyle Lowry's big old butt, but like,
it's genetic, man.
It's genetic. It's just, he's a healthy at any weight. But yeah, like when Jimmy Butler came, he had to weigh in. Jimmy had to, weigh in, and Riley got down to his underwear.
So there's
a
fine line. A couple of these things. There's a fine line between the old man who gets down in his underwear and is like, "Come here, young man, let's check out the bodies." All right.
Yeah, kind of.
It's you're really walking a tightrope there.
And
also, there's a fine line between a person being like, "Hey, I could do more push-ups than you," where we're now getting into like this is toxic. How do we handle the culture versus toxicity?
You gotta have competition. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Well, also he wasn't talking to to professional athletes.
No, he was condescending to the media.
To a fat media member, probably.
Yeah. He's like, "Hey, Windhorst, I can do more push-ups than you."
I mean, for real. But it's interesting that also it's signaling. It feels like that, like, hey, anyone who thinks that I'm leaving, I will do more push-ups than you. If you think that I'm going to retire, get out of here.
It was shades of Jack Palance, the Oscars for you younger children, like 30 years ago on the Oscars after winning, I believe, the Oscar for City Slickers.
Yeah,
he dropped and gave us 20 or something
real quick.
He also died.
It did shortly thereafter.
Not right after.
No.
he waited a few years. My apology. I mean, one, yeah, I was surprised you didn't mention that Pat Riley push-ups on the last episode. I'll apologize for a couple of things. I mean, one, something that seems like we would have mentioned on the show. When Darvin Ham got hired by the Lakers, we really could have focused in more on the breakfast food angles that have now been opened up for us, a lot of different avenues there. And I feel like we let our listeners down by not going heavy on that. Also, I misunderstood you last week, Chuck. We were talking about the scapegoats, the least valuable players for each team eliminated in the playoffs. And at one point we're talking about the Pelicans, and you mentioned Garrett Temple and the fact that he didn't play as being a good thing. I misinterpreted sometimes in the nonstop screaming of three-way podcasting conversation. I misunderstood that you understood that they were playing well because of Garrett Temple not playing. I thought you were saying he was playing. And so that's, again, I misheard. An eagle eye listener probably couldn't even tell anything because, again, a lot of stuff was going on. But I wanted to say I misinterpreted what you're saying, so I'm sorry. Also in that same segment, John Burr, I assume, would like to apologize for when he was listing off all the teams who had been eliminated in the playoffs and having to pick a least valuable player. He didn't mention the Suns.
No,
we didn't pick a least valuable player for the Phoenix Suns. So I guess we need to now.
I guess if you go by least value, meaning,
or I mean, this was the player haters award.
Player haters.
It didn't have to be necessarily accurate or able to be defended with statistics and facts.
Maybe Burr skipped it because of Game 7 Devin being implicitly on this all Buns team.
Yeah, the Game 7 Devin, it's a good argument. I mean, you gotta go to also you have to think about, I mean, you're not there if Chris Paul's not with you.
Right.
But Chris Paul, man, kind of faded when it mattered. He averaged over the last 4 games, over the last 5 games, all losses. I'm out of this up right now. It's 47 points. So that's like almost 12 points per game, which isn't quite what you want from your point guard. No, he was turning the ball over a lot, although he didn't have any turnovers in the final game. But the final game was like they lost by 40. I mean, it was just a one of the worst home Game 7 losses ever.
Didn't he play 30 minutes? Like it wasn't even a whole game.
I mean, I think we have to pin that. I think if we're just picking in the spirit of the way we did it last week, I would think it would be Chris Paul, even though Game 7 Devin, I mean, I certainly has a nice ring to it.
You got to go Pauly boy. All right.
Yeah. I mean, with his field goal attempts, the most field goals he attempted in any of the final 5 games was 9. I think you got to be a little bit more assertive when you're losing 4 out of 5 to the Dallas Mavericks and you're going down. So I guess that will at least wrap all that up. So those were our breakfast in bed apologies. Before we get to our steak and eggs best thing, have a word from our sponsor. Visit grindcitymedia.com today for the most up-to-date and exclusive coverage and analysis of the Memphis Grizzlies you can get. Grind City Media is always there, home and road, providing the most comprehensive Grizzlies coverage. Plus, get your local and regional sports fix all in one spot. For more information and behind-the-scenes access on the Grizzlies, visit grindcitymedia.com or follow on Twitter at grindcitymedia. All right, steak and eggs, best thing, Chuck. What's the best thing you saw in the last week?
I mean, maybe this isn't just what happened in the last week, but it's been the Wiggins renaissance. Oh
my God.
He's been so good. He's been their second best player this series. You give me another 20-something point game, and he might rip Finals MVP from Steph Curry. I could see it. But yeah, I mean, when they traded for Wiggins, everybody was pretty like against like the concept, like this isn't gonna work. How is this gonna happen? Uh and it turns out that was the best trade they've made in a very long time, you know. And he's looking great on both ends of the court. He kind of came into his own. It felt yesterday he really realized his superpowers. Like he's like, oh, I'm really big, I'm really fast, I can dribble, and I can get to the rim anytime I want.
Well, I think a lot of the stuff you said is correct. Where I don't know if he found his superpowers on Monday. He was awesome
Yeah,
on Monday, not
he
to
was
take anything away.
awesome.
Unbelievably good. 26 points and 13 rebounds. But he's really in this postseason. He was kind of picking his spots where his minutes were up for a while there. His minutes were up from the regular season, but his shot attempts were down from where they were in the regular season. So he was even being less of a go-to offensive option for the Warriors as they ran their offense. You know, just like let Steph and Clay and Draymond,
Jordan
you know, he
Poole.
get all his passes and Jordan Poole score a bunch of points. I'm just going to rebound and defend. And when I get the ball, you know, then if I need to score, I will score. I can score. We know he can score. I mean, the man dropped 47 points on the Timberwolves when he was on the Timberwolves once.
Right.
And then in this game where it's like he's only going to face single coverages, he's going to get most of his points through hustle plays. The Celtics had nothing for him. He just kept going. And I mean, it would take a pretty big zero from Steph, as Steph
No.
had his first ever playoff game without a made 3-pointer.
Which is mine.
Ended NBA records, all these NBA records, most consecutive playoff games with multiple made threes, most playoff games with made threes, 132 in a row. And like he'd have to have a pretty big egg, and Wiggins would have to go off again, I think, for even it to overcome the narrative weight. But the way that Wiggins has totally transformed his game and just his perception, where like when that trade was made, I think the correct analysis was, all right, it's a huge contract, and if you don't mind paying luxury tax, then they don't need him to be a $30 million player. They need him to be a $12 million player. If he can do the little things, it's a great fit. But I think most of us were skeptical that he could do the little things. This is a guy who didn't seem to try hard on defense.
Right.
He wasn't a good rebounder at this point.
Mm-mm.
And it's like he seemed to be in love with taking bad shots. And honestly, I feel like there's a dark side to this. There's a negative aspect to this, Chuck. Now, every front office and every fan base, every podcaster can look at any player and just be like, just needs to change of scenery.
Put him on the Warriors.
Just needs to change of scenery. It used to be like, hey, that guy needs to change of scenery. And I rolled my eyes at almost every change of scenery. Like, show me the example of the guy, of like the gunner who went to a new situation and figured it out. Like it's an incredibly short list.
Right.
It's like Vince Carter embraced being a backup. And that's like, all right, show me the next one. Like all the time it's like, oh, this guy, he's really inefficient. If he just took 4 less shots a game, imagine, and focused on defense, imagine how good he could be. And the list of people who did that, it's like nobody. Now there's this very clear example of like Andrew Wiggins changed himself. Like he changed his game. And now, like you said, he's the second best player on a team that looks like it's going to win the finals. I know that the Celtics aren't done, but games 4 and games 5, to me, that felt like the end of the Celtics. That felt like, all right, this is the first time they've lost 2 straight in the playoffs. They did not bounce back in game 5. They had one great quarter. They scored 35 points in the third, which was a weird twist on the Warriors owning the third quarters. The Celtics made 8 straight 3-pointers overall from the second to third quarters. They dropped
after missing
in that
12.
Third. Yeah. They dropped 35 in the third quarter, but in quarters 1, 2, and 4, they scored 59 points total.
Mm-hmm.
And then in game 4, they also struggled to score. Like we're now seeing that, hey, they're not getting the ball movement. They're not able to consistently create good looks against this Warriors defense. We knew the Warriors defense was good, but like the Celtics are struggling to score. The Warriors just keep coming. And I feel like they have one extra gear as far as like offensive guys who can get it done. Like Poole, just you never know. He can get it going. There's very few of those. I mean, I guess maybe Derek White's the guy for the Celtics, but like Derek White had nothing. The bench had absolutely nothing. And I do feel like, I don't know, there's something to Tatum and Jaylen Brown just can't generate consistent enough looks. They were turning the ball over a ton the other night. And it leads to us being now like Andrew Wiggins could be finals MVP. It's unbelievable. I mean,
I don't think he actually has a shot at MVP, but I do think that we were talking about players who have like historically done what he's done, like gone from, a number one to somebody who plays great roles. I think like Rudy Gay has kind of turned into that late in his career, but
but like Rudy Gay sort of did it, but not really,
not like this.
Not like this. Rudy Gay's was like I always consider
his
those
skills just
players.
declined.
Like Rudy Gay was a more clear, better defender early in his career.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like Rudy Gay initially was like, hey, he needs to learn how to shoot more and be a number one. And then it was like, hey, you know what? It's actually really bad if he's the number one. We need him to be a number four. But he never had the feel of being able to like plug in. I mean, obviously, I think like I'm not going out on a limb here. If like Rudy Gay in year 5 and 6 was dropped in on this Warriors squad, he would be a god. I think he would be like, hey, man, like if he understood like, hey, Steph Curry's way better than I am. Yeah. I'm just going to rebound and play defense. I think Rudy Gay might honestly have been transformed, but this is the problem now. Wiggins has convinced me anyone can be transformed.
Right. Well, I mean, what's interesting is like the Warriors' ability, since this isn't very like precedented, we haven't seen a player like Wiggins, a high pick with an incredible skill set, come and like taper his game. But it has happened with the Warriors before. Like Harrison Barnes kind of like thought he was the king ding, and then the team that was built around him, he had to find himself into like a spot where he was great, but not the guy. So it's interesting that this specific team has done this kind of before, with not a player as talented as Wiggins, but a player that probably thought he was as talented as Wiggins.
It's what's really weird. Like I feel like Harrison Barnes gets like a weird like the way people remember him.
Yeah, I'm in my memory, maybe like I may think of him as being like tremendously better than he actually was, or tremendously worse than he actually was at times. I know he's turned out to be like a solid player who's shriveling in the upside down of Sacramento.
Yeah, he's a totally solid player. But I'm just saying, when he was on the Warriors, he was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Warriors fans were like, this bum. We got to upgrade this bum. You're like, what are you kidding? Like that guy was really instrumental.
Yeah. He was very important.
And how good the team was. I'll do my best thing. My best thing is a slightly funny story, I think. Maybe it could be a worse thing. I don't know if this contributed to the Warriors having a nice game. Maybe this contributed to Steph missing all of his 3-pointers, going 0 for 9 from 3. Maybe he missed a familiar part of his shooting background at the Chase Center. The fake Klay Thompson guy.
Oh.
The fake Klay Thompson guy got banned for life from the arena for in a previous game. He had snuck onto the court. He'd snuck into the arena. Apparently he had tickets. He was ticketed. He bought tickets, but he entered the Chase Center through the employee entrance. Security just waved him on in. Now, Chuck, was he in full kit? Is that how this happened?
So I only read it quickly.
I'm so confused by it. He does not look that much like Klay Thompson.
No.
It's only funny when he's wearing like the jersey and the shorts, but why would a security member be like, oh, look, Klay Thompson showed up in his uniform?
This guy's definitely a fat person who's not an athlete. So like anybody who's like paying attention, he does not walk. Yeah, I think he just wanted to tell the story, and it's been a while since people have talked about him. Yeah. Like he was popping for a minute. He was a lot of memes. He was in a lot of memes, and now Clay's back. Clay's playing, and he has to find a way to mix it up. But now he's banned for life. Like, I imagine Klay Thompson's going to rescue him. Does
that seem apt? I say that seem for me, that's a punishment fits the crime. Like if you snuck in and then you walk onto the court, you're playing with fire. That seems like a reasonable outcome where they're like, listen, you can't come back here. I don't know. Maybe it is too harsh.
I mean, it does set a precedent if you allow him to do that and get away with it, that other people.
What if he was protesting Glenn Taylor's animal cruelty?
He was gluing.
What if? I mean, he could have been wearing Glenn Taylor roasts chickens alive or whatever. I mean,
yeah, I don't know. Man.
I understand. Listen, maybe I'm being too open-minded to the authorities. I understand both sides here. You can't have people sneaking into the arenas.
Yeah, but this guy's like low-key famous. He should have different rules than me.
Oh, he should have different rules. Okay.
He should. Like,
different rules for people who are on YouTube.
His existence in that space is hilarious. Like, that's it. Like, and wherever he walks, he is imagine being that guy. Like, you walk around and people recognize you for being kind of similar looking to a very famous person. That's your whole thing.
Is Klay Thompson going to swoop in? Well, I mean, you've walked around your whole life looking like Matt Geiger. What's that?
And look, have I ever told people at steakhouses I was Matt Geiger? Yeah. But
Matt Geiger, you got a lot shorter. What happened?
As you age.
Eat your vegetables, man.
Yeah. The 90s were rough on everybody. Yeah, I hope Klay does come to his rescue.
Klay just swoops in. He's like, hey, let's write a note. He's with me.
He's fine. He's part of my posse. He ends up putting him on the payroll. He's just like the jester. I'd like to see that.
I like everyone's like, why? How did he get through all this layers of security? It's like, what are they making? $18 an hour?
Right. I mean,
what were their explicit instructions? I mean, I don't know.
I've done a bunch of music festivals where there are people and you have to pass security to go to different areas to have different access. And what I've learned is if you just walk past them with enough conviction, they're not chasing you. They're not going to go, hey,
walk with confidence. Walk with confidence.
With your head up, looking like an all-star, and everything will work itself out.
Also, I don't know how tall this guy is. If you're tall enough, you can go anywhere. I've learned
that's true.
Walk with the confidence of a tall white man is
that's it. Of a mediocre white man.
Yeah, with the unearned confidence of a mediocre white person like myself. Somehow you get in a lot of places. No one's like, hey, sir, you're in the wrong place. Sir, you've been banned from this arena. I've only been banned, I believe, I got banned from a place in Portland, Oregon once. Not proud of it. But I let's just say I behave with too much confidence. And they told me not to come back. Although, as far as I know, they don't have a picture of me or anything on the wall.
So this Klay guy's apparently famous. Like, he's a YouTuber.
Yeah.
He's not. All right. I'm learning more about him. No, ban him for life.
There we go. Now we're talking. We're on the same page. All right. Those were our steak and eggs best thing. The opposite of our steak and eggs is our cream of wheat worst thing. What's the worst thing from the last week?
So my worst thing basically is how terrifying the Warriors offense can be. Right. So like everybody's made such a big deal about not doubling Steph, right? Like all of the smart people talk about why the Celtics shouldn't play drop against Steph. Last night was why. Steph went 0 for forever. He had the worst, 3-point shooting game of his maybe career, period. Not just playoffs, not just finals, is one of the worst it is the worst for me. Yeah. Anyway. Then when they do double him and they play, hard on the switch, everybody else scores 15 points. And the whole entire team and that team's offense decides to click and destroy the Celtics defense.
Well, you're right. That's the beauty of Steph. He's going to kill you no matter what.
You're dead.
He had 8 assists and 1 turnover. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown combined had 8 assists and 9 turnovers. Mm-hmm. So like he was tearing you up even with that 0 for 9, also the Celtics defense, let's be real, it's been good enough.
Yeah.
The Celtics defense has been good enough this entire series. It's their offense. Like they're holding the Warriors in check.
Yeah.
Like all these games are whatever, 104 to 94. You held the Warriors at 104. You did it. You just need to score a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, I think I agree that the way the Celtics were playing Steph with the drop, like they were doing pretty well at it. It's Steph Curry, guys.
Yeah.
It's Steph Curry. I'm not sure what you're supposed to do. I guess you're supposed to hope. Like, I don't know. Would you rather lose this way with Steph struggling, or I think maybe I would, as opposed to like, or maybe the game 4, you feel less upset if you're a Celtics fan because in game 4,
it was just
Steph
supernova.
Yeah, you're like, well, my God, that was.
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? That was the best finals performance I've seen. You know, like that.
Yeah,
you can't stop that when Steph's doing his thing.
I mean, that's always the thing, but I think in finals, in pressure, games, you got to make the other guys beat you. That's what it just feels like the normal thing.
It does feel like the normal thing to say, at least.
Yeah, it is. It feels like the normal thing to say. But like maybe that's a strategic thing you do. On the road, you let the other guys do you in. You can't let Gary Payton go for 15 points when you know.
So that's a good point. I mean, Gary Payton, like they're not running offense for him.
No.
He's just cutting and he's hustling and he's getting like these putbacks. Like Clay had a huge game. The Warriors outscored the Celtics. They took over the game in that stretch. The Jordan Poole making an unfair buzzer beater again.
Oh man,
for the second time, and like he did it last Sunday, and now it's this Monday, and they used that momentum, and they started the fourth quarter with Steph on the bench, and then Clay went off. So like Clay had a huge game, and maybe you think, all right, when you're playing in the Chase Center, you're playing at home. Those role players, they're a little bit better. I'm not calling Clay a role player, but like those guys play a little bit better. And then when you're on the road, okay, now it's Steph score 40, hit 7 3-pointers, all of them being ridiculous, and we'll win that way. I'll do my worst thing. It's not finals related. There was a trade in the NBA on Monday. I love trades. The fact that we got a draft trade like during the middle of the finals made me ecstatic. I love trades. My worst thing is Sam Presti can't keep getting away with it. Feels like a home run trade for the Thunder. They turned their salary cap space, of which it is ample. They still have cap space for this league year, so they took in JaMychal Green's salary to help the Nuggets shave some money. They parlayed their 30th pick. The Thunder had the 30th pick, which, if you don't know, that's the worst possible pick in the first round, as there are 30 teams. And they traded that 30th pick for a future first round pick, which we don't know the protections on this pick, but it's going to be better than 30th. So they took a pick basically they didn't want to use this year because they have the second pick, they have the 12th pick, they have the 34th pick. They've accumulated all these assets, and one of the criticisms you could point to is like, hey, you have too many picks. You can't use them all. So they got one let off the hook by the Nuggets. They're like, yeah, we'd be glad to swap this 30th pick for a future first. That seems amazing. Also, then the Nuggets, I'm sad for the Denver Nuggets. They keep making these trades that are financially motivated. You have the 2-time reigning MVP. You have a guy who's one of the best players in the game, quite obviously. Like, it's a very short list of like, all right, is it Giannis? Is it KD? Is it Steph some days? Is it Jokic? Like, you have one of the best guys. Also, I'll actually throw Embiid in there, not to make anybody upset, but like,
or Jimmy Butler in the playoffs.
Butler in the playoffs. Or Andrew Wiggins when Steph's about to get a finals MVP. But you have Jokic, and this is yet another moment. Like, yes, they didn't pay Tim Connolly. He left. He went to the Timberwolves. You have a new GM. The first GM's move is to trade for the 30th pick, not on draft night, not when you know who you're getting with the 30th pick. They did the trade 10 days before the draft. You have no idea who you're getting with the 30th pick. They dumped a player. Listen, JaMychal Green wasn't very good last year.
No.
But you know what he is? He's an NBA player. Did you watch
Solid.
the Nuggets
They need them.
in the first round? I know they have injury issues. They didn't have NBA players. They ran out of dudes. And I know Michael Green was available to play and they chose not to. So maybe that is a good way to say, listen, he's not. He's barely hanging on. But you're making these trades with the idea being you're just shaving money. And that is just not the way. We're literally staring at a Warriors team that maybe you can't replicate that, getting Steph and Clay and Draymond all in the draft. But the reason they're here right now is because they kept cutting checks.
Right.
They paid D'Angelo Russell, and they paid all the luxury tax, and then they swapped them. And not to relitigate the Andrew Wiggins trade, but oh my God. They got Kuminga
and a pick
and Wiggins, and also I believe the second rounder from the Timberwolves this year.
Yeah.
To give them D'Angelo Russell, and right now the Timberwolves are trying to move D'Angelo Russell. And I know at the time of the trade, not everyone was like, this is a steal. They're like, this is a horrible trade. I think, there's an argument to be made. The Timberwolves made an okay deal at the time.
Yeah.
But as time has passed, it's a travesty. I mean, it's a full blown horror show. Like that is you got rid of Kuminga or just anybody you could have taken there and Wiggins. I mean, maybe Wiggins never would have turned into this without the magic of the Warriors. But going back to the Nuggets, they've done this multiple times where they've refused to pay people. I mean, I know that they've taken care of their big guys, Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray. Those guys were hurt. They paid Aaron Gordon, but they keep making these trades to get out of the luxury tax. They keep using first round picks. Like they trade away just like Malik Beasley and Jared Vanderbilt just because they don't want to pay him. Jared Vanderbilt's awesome now.
Yeah.
Like Malik Beasley's just fine. He's a shooter. You need shooters. Like the team needs shooters. They traded. I mean, they ended up trading a first round pick for Jeremy Grant. He walked. Maybe that's not their fault. Before that, they traded a first round pick to unload the Kenneth Faried salary. Like they keep doing these moves to get another tax. It makes me sad. But also makes me upset that the Thunder, with a nice solid triple down the line for a baseball metaphor for how good this trade was.
So there's a kitschy cup here at this Airbnb that makes me feel like it's connected. It's if friends were apples, I'd pick you. So we're talking about these picks. We're talking about Airbnbs, and we're talking about. So a couple weeks ago, I stayed at a very fine hotel. Right. Yep. The Aria in Las Vegas. And now I'm at an Airbnb. And I think bad franchises get run like Airbnbs. And really good franchises like the Warriors, they do trades like this because they can work it out. Because they
can work it out.
Steph is their casino downstairs. They're always going to make money.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So it's just there's high quality organizations and low quality organizations. And the reason why the Warriors have been to the finals 8 times is because they're one of the good ones.
And if we want to couch this Nuggets trade in a more favorable manner for the Nuggets, like one theory. All right. What if Jokic just told you, I got 3 more years, What do I care about the 2028 pick? Let's go ahead and get the 30th pick in here. Let's go ahead and get someone in the door who can help us now. All right. So maybe that is a reason. Also for the Thunder, it's easy to make winning trades when you don't care about winning.
Right.
Like it's easy to win the trade when you're not trying to actually be good at basketball. I mean, this is still a perfect trade for the Thunder. Like I don't want to take away from it, but it's easy to win the trades when you don't have to actually worry about the product on the court. Also a good part about this that I love, this trade still doesn't get the Thunder to the salary cap floor for this past season. So they're still on pace to cut a check to their players. I would, if I was one of those players though, because if you don't hit the salary floor, you have to pay the extra to the guys on your roster. I'm still a little bit worried that they might make another deal and kind of screw over those players. I mean, can you imagine being Vit Krejci and being like, man, I'm about to get $1.7 million unless my GM takes in another bad salary in the next week and a half. Like, I can't imagine living like that.
I can't, I am for, and I've preached this on the show multiple times. We need to have a luxury tax for draft picks.
Yes,
the
I know.
way we have.
It's one of the great ideas you've had.
It's maybe the only good basketball idea I've ever had. So yeah, I think we can solve this problem. We just need some buy-in.
If you were Ty Jerome and you said, like, are you allowed to text Sam Presti and be like, hey, bro, just tell me.
Hey, man.
Just tell me, am I going to get a $1 million check at the end of June or not?
That's a big deal.
Like,
That's
are you trying to get rid of my money? I need to know. I just need to know. Like, I know technically I did nothing to earn this money. I'm getting this money theoretically because you as a franchise have chosen not to pay salary to other players, but I can't live. I mean, I can't live with not knowing whether or not I'm just going to get like $1 million next week or not. I don't know. Is this what those crypto investors are feeling right now?
Oh my God. Don't talk to me about crypto.
Are you, did you not divest?
No, diamond hands holding strong. And I'm now so sad.
Has this affected your Top Shot collection?
No, my Top Shot's fine.
Those are independent universes. They don't.
Yeah. Okay. The only money I've ever made on Top Shot was on a Desmond Bain card. I made like 300 something bucks on Desmond Bain.
I feel like that'd be a good card to still have, though.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have sold it. I'm not good at this. Hey,
Chuck, the game is designed for you not to be good at it.
Yeah, that's true. I'm gonna be broke. That's the way it's.
Anyway, those were our worst things. Before we get to the award segment of the program, we have a couple of listener submitted questions. The croissant questioner. Mike Gibbons asks, and Chuck, this is something I feel like you're an expert at. Mike Gibbons asks, or I guess he states, LeBron wrote a lengthy post on Instagram thanking his wife just because. If you wrote a lengthy post on Instagram thanking your significant other, how badly have you messed up? Or how badly did you mess up?
Oh, man. Yeah, especially for him where everything seems like extremely curated. Like even like shoot arounds with his kids in the front yard feel like there was a showrunner involved, you know, like there.
Do you think LeBron pays a showrunner for his Instagram? Because I think yes.
I mean,
like the director at all times too.
Oh no, he's probably got like a plot producer, you know, like Taco Tuesday came from a writer's room. You know,
that guy got fired. The Taco Tuesday guy got fired. I'm just guessing.
But yeah, man, like at that level, I mean, it feels like there might have been a ring involved, you know, a la Kobe. Maybe there was a Kobe thing going on.
Because you've been known,
giant ring.
You've been known to gush about your child sometimes on social media, and everyone knows that means like you did something wrong.
Yeah, usually when I put a post about my kid on the internet, I was into some real debaucherous stuff the night before, and I need a palate cleanse. I need people to like validate my essence as a dad.
Yeah, like, he's a good guy. Look at him. Look at him. That's the most important thing. Raising a child. What a good guy. Mine would be a little bit different because I don't post much about my significant other on social media. I feel like if I wrote a gushing thing about my my wife, it would be actually that I'm beginning to wage a war on her. Like that would be a bad thing. I think it would be the signs of the end. I'd be like, all right, listen, I think Keith's declaring war on his partner by doing these performative social media posts. My problem is, and I think this is both me and my wife have, we can't express emotion publicly in a sincere way because it seems ridiculous to us. So like I can't. We can express emotion to each other privately, but doing it for other people to like it maybe other people, it doesn't feel performative to them, but like we basically roll our eyes constantly. Everything we, a lot of stuff we see on social media, and so it's like I don't know. Maybe that's why we like each other, or we're like, I can't do that.
You are both the same brand of partner. I think social media affection is a love language for some people.
Right.
Like you have to have some people think if you're not tagging me on my birthday in an Instagram story, you're not my actual friend.
Right.
Like that's how some people measure their
Well, I don't know your birthday, so why not? Sure. Not like if we're friends,
see, and then the opposite end of that is like people who are texting folks, it's their birthday for 3 days prior to their birthday to get their Instagram story post.
Oh yeah.
It's just a byproduct of a broken system that we should probably burn down and start from scratch.
Yeah. Another question. Drew asks, who is your favorite fictitious basketball player of all time?
Jesus Shuttlesworth. He got game.
It's a great one.
Tremendous. There was a Saturday morning teen sitcom called Hang Time.
Yeah.
In the 90s. It had Anthony Anderson in it. Oh, the actor. Do you know Anthony Anderson?
Yeah, Goose. No,
that's Anthony Edwards.
Oh, Anthony Anderson. Oh, yeah. I know him. I was thinking of Hustle, Minnesota Timberwolves star Anthony Edwards. Yeah, I know Anthony Anderson is. Yeah.
Anthony Anderson was on there, and he played a high school basketball player who was chunky. He was chunky. So he was one of my favorites because I identified with him. And then Dick Butkus was in that show too. He was their coach. And Reggie Theus played their coach for a while. Why do I remember that show? But I can't remember who played in the 1995 NBA Finals. Jesus Shuttlesworth, Fredro Starr from Sunset Park. Who else?
I mean,
Omar Epps from Above the Rim. Tremendous.
I was going to say
many. Steve Urkel.
Urkel
could ball. Speaking of hustle, Urkel
I had to look this up. I'm going to go with Ricky Rowe, who was the main character from Blue Chips. the non-famous guy alongside Penny Hardaway and Shaq.
Yeah.
That was one of my favorites. Also, if we're just playing
Dion Bordeaux,
people who were low-key basketball players, I'm going to go with Snake Plissken from Escape from LA. He made that full court shot like it was nothing. So I think he had a pretty solid basketball background. Also, I believe I can now mention. Can I mention Tony Roten? He was more of a figment of my imagination. The theoretical Tony Roten. The fully developed Tony Roten is my favorite fictional basketball player.
Do you think the Avenger Hawkeye is a long distance 3-point shooter?
Has he ever held a basketball in any of the Marvel?
I don't think so. I don't think basketball. Maybe
episodes.
I could be wrong. I don't think there's been any basketball.
Basketball doesn't exist in the MCU.
It's very possible. I don't know. I have to go rewatch every movie looking for.
Was there maybe one of those vanishing scenes? Was it like at
the blimp
sporting event or something?
Yeah, there were. Well, there was they returned from the blimp in Spider-Man Homecoming, I think. And
all the titles are the same, which is a very convenient way for me to never know which one's which. Let's put home in every one.
I do love numbers. I like numbers at the end of my superhero movies.
Let's do all the titles slightly differently.
Yeah, just like the word home in all of them. That makes perfect sense. At least the Thor one, it has it's funny and it's God of love and thunder or whatever.
I don't want to get on a tangent, but I couldn't tell you the names of the Star Wars sequels anymore. They're all the same, and they all kind of mean the same thing. There's
The Force Awakens, Rise of Skywalker,
and then The Last Jedi, and I'm not even sure what the order is because there's all kind of you're basically saying the same thing every time.
I've always had that issue. I know Phantom Menace is the first in the prequels, but I don't know the other two after. And
Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, I do know.
See,
they're stuck in my brain. The new ones, anyways.
And then I know A New Hope is the OG one.
Right. The OG, I know that because I learned that as a child, much like the books of the Bible. I'm not going to forget those. That was ingrained in my brain. I can remember that. I can't remember anything that's happened in the last 20 years, as it turns out.
But I can tell you about Ecclesiastes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Anyways, those were our croissant questionnaires. If you have a question you want to be answered on air or as part of our monthly Zoom hangout, you have to become a Patreon supporter. Do that at patreon.com/Fastbreak Breakfast. Also, we'll have a free agency and trade game coming up very, very soon. And of course, we'll be crowning our winner of the Stone Cold Locks Playoff Challenge as this series. It might end on Thursday. I kind of feel like the Celtics are going out sad. But at the very least, it'll be all done by this Sunday. So if you want to get involved with that, join our Slack channel. Just support the show. Do it at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. All right, it is now time for the International Stackhouse of Pancakes Award, given each week to the worst performance in a box score. We have 3 nominees. Draymond Green in Game 4 was 1 for 7 from the field, continuing his little rough finals performance. He did bounce back nicely in Game 5. Made a lot of winning plays. He also made a lot of great winning plays at the end of Game 4, but that is not in the box score. I'm sorry. He was 1 for 7, 2 points, but 9 rebounds, 8 assists, 4 steals, 2 turnovers, 3 personal fouls. All that's pretty nice. In the same game, Jason Tatum was 8 for 23. Took him 23 field goal attempts to muster 23 points.
Almost Kobe.
He did crash the glass with 11 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 steal, 3 blocks, 6 turnovers. That's, I believe, 11 turnovers in the last 2 games for him. 6 turnovers, 3 personal fouls. And then Game 5, we're going to nominate Jaylen Brown. 5 for 18.
Yeesh.
18 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 1 steal, 5 turnovers, 2 personal fouls. So Jason Tatum, 8 for 23, 23 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 blocks. Draymond Green, 1 for 7, 2 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, 4 steals. Jaylen Brown, 5 for 18, 18 points, 9 rebounds, 5 turnovers. I think it's Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, the turnovers are big for me. And
Jaylen's you're going to go 5 for 18 and turn the ball over a bunch.
Yeah. Ooh. I mean, that's what he does, is turn the ball over a bunch. Yeah, I have to go with that. It felt heavier too. The Jason Tatum stuff in Game 2 was bad, but he played a lot of minutes and he is very good on defense. And it was obvious.
Jason Tatum for the series now is 5 for 21 in the fourth quarter. Kobe.
Kobe.
It's not great for Jason Tatum, but he has a chance, of course, in Game 6 to change the record there. Anyway, par fade away, gentlemen. Par fade away, Chuck. What are we looking forward to in the
thank you.
In the coming week?
I am no gentleman. We got Game 6, baby. We'll see if Game 6 Clay is a shower or a grower. We're gonna see the Celtics in another closeout game. They have fared well in closeout games this playoff so far, against Milwaukee, against Miami. So they do have experience.
They've had their backs against the wall, man.
Yeah.
They've been there this run.
But it's we have the experience and the Steph Curry-ness of the Warriors that they are going up against. I don't think the Warriors want to go back home. So yeah, I'm looking forward to a dog fight. There's gonna be some dogs out there.
Man, I hope so. The way the Game 4, where the Celtics really struggled down the stretch, and it was kind of like, oh yeah, the Warriors are much more dependable in these tough situations. And then the way this Game 5, where it's like, all right, maybe the Celtics just can't generate good looks. Maybe it all has to be hero ball, and that's not really dependable. I mean, certainly you would think going back to Boston, Grant Williams might knock down a 3. Derek White might knock down some 3s. But also Marcus Smart's been awesome. Marcus Smart hasn't even dropped in one of his, I went 2 for 12 games, which is definitely a normal part of his game like that.
Yeah.
Marcus Smart's been playing incredibly well. I don't know. Game 6 Clay plus bounce back Steph.
Oh, Steph's going to be super focused for this game.
That seems a lot to overcome. But I'll tell you what, here's what I'm looking forward to. Draymond Green has a chance in Game 6, and definitely if it goes to Game 7, to become just the 7th player since the merger to accumulate 30 personal fouls in one finals. He's got 24 right now. It's a pretty solid number after 5. He only got 3 fouls in game 4. Really kind of screwed this up, but he fouled out in game 5. He's got 24. The most fouls in a finals series since the merger. Jack Sikma had 35. So if Draymond can foul out of the next 2 games, he can break that with 36. The all-time record, by the way, from 1957.
If it's
some guy named
Joe Folks,
I wish it was. Some guy named Ernie Risen.
Indeed, he is risen.
Risen indeed. No, Arnie, excuse me. Arnie Risen.
I love it.
Arnie Risen got 37 personal fouls in the 1957
so that
finals.
I'm going to root for Draymond for that, but I did find a piece of kitschy Airbnb accoutrement that made me think of Draymond. Here it is. When in doubt, add more wine. It's very Draymond-esque.
What a great bit of advice for
someone in recovery.
Yeah. Here's the list of guys since the merger who have accumulated at least 30 fouls in a finals. It is a list of legit dudes. None of these guys are scrubs. They're all players. Draymond would be joining at least good company. It is Jack Sikma, Robert Parrish, my namesake, Dennis Rodman, Elvin Hayes, Bob Dandridge, and Rasheed Wallace. So a bunch of good power forward / center dudes.
Played a bunch of minutes and knew what they were doing. The fouls. Yeah.
I thought there could be some weird, like Chris Dudley just trying to wrap up Shaq or something. But maybe Chris Dudley never made the finals. I'm not even sure.
Todd McCullough.
Yeah, Todd McCullough. That's a better one. Thank you. Anyways, that is the show for today, Chuck. Appreciate you dropping in.
Thank you.
I'll figure out how to end this.
All right, buddy.
All right. See you, man.
See you, man.